It's nice to be back with you after kind of a long break. And so much has taken place during that time since I was here at the Cathedral last, both highs and lows. We had the celebration of our recent election of the Pope, a Jesuit, I might add. Was that applause in the back? We also celebrated Easter, the celebration of the resurrection of our Lord, and most recently we marked this terrible tragedy in Boston. But at the heart of all of it is the resurrection. And now in this fifth Sunday of Easter, with 2 more weeks to go, we Catholics really do know how to celebrate, don't we? Right? We really know how to plumb the depths of these feasts and celebrations. But there would be a lifetime more reflection and meditation for us to do on what the resurrection really means, its true significance for us. At the heart of it, we celebrate how Easter and the resurrection is the pinnacle in the life of Jesus, our Lord. It is the fulfillment of God's promise for the life he lived and for the love he manifested through his service. It is a catalytic and transformative event in the lives of the disciples who during what we know as Holy Week trembled in fear, and yet days later were powerfully changed and transformed out in the streets with faith, proclaiming the good news. The resurrection is a pointer for us to a reality beyond itself. If I'm not mistaken, the resurrection points us to our own very true nature as human beings. We are mortal, and we know that our mortal nature is passing. We are also immortal, and that true nature of us, the essence, is spirit. Teilhard de Chardin, the Jesuit paleontologist and mystic, once wrote, "We think that we're human beings who have occasional spiritual experiences, but the truth is that we are spiritual beings having human experiences." Do you understand the difference? When we identify with our true nature as spirit, we discover the essence of that true nature, which is love. Love, I think, as you and I know, is a word that can be so overused, it becomes trite and hollow, and maybe even too shallow to hold all of its true meaning and significance. Love is more than a feeling, for instance, right? Some of you are of the generation, if you remember one of the top hits on the charts, it's actually number 500 on the rock hits of all time. More Than a Feeling, Boston, 1976. Anyone go there with me? More than a feeling, right? Then there was a great guitar riff, right? I want you to remember that, because if there's anything from this homily I want you to get, it's that love is more than just a feeling, as wonderful a feeling as it is. The word in English may not be sufficient to give us a whole spectrum of the meanings that it really carries. So we might go to other languages like Latin or Greek. There's actually a kind of a funny story about a Jesuit brother, because you know we have both brothers and priests. He was Irish, Brother McGuinness was his name, and he used to make fun of the priests for putting on airs. He said, "Oh yeah, their Father Fancy Pants, using his Latin and Greek to make himself so superior." Well, I'm going to do it anyway. So in Latin, one of the words that we get to describe love comes into English as compassion. It is our willingness to walk with others in their suffering. One of my theologians from my seminary days said that compassion is to enter willingly into the chaos of another, to walk with them. From the Greeks, we have like 4 expressions for love. One of them is called storge in Greek, and it refers to the love we have for family, for parents, for grandparents, for our ancestors. That sense of love being blood thicker than water. That sense of the obligation and the duty and the honor that go along with the respect and love we have for our forebears. Do you know what I'm talking about there? It's a very distinct kind of love. It's not always easy or uncomplicated, because often children have complicated relationships with their parents. But it's a powerful love, and it's like glue, and it entails a lot of, I think, choices about how we show up in the lives of our parents, our grandparents, and family members. And then there's a very different kind of love. Think of your best friends, or as the young people call them today, our BFFs, right? Think of the people who have come into your life and who form family for you, not because they are family by blood, but by choice. We're so blessed that we attract people into our lives because of the joy we have in their company, because of our common commitments. And think how much richer our lives are when we think of those friends in our lives who share our sorrows, our joys, our laughter, our tears. Very different from the love we have for family. Then consider the love that we feel, well, I'm just going to say it, in our loins, right? The love of attraction, the love that is expressed sexually for the people we love and are committed to in our lives. This is a powerful and holy love in itself. It's so powerful sometimes it consumes us, and it is sacred and good. And then there is the love of agape, the love that we experience most powerfully when we experience at the foot of the cross the love that Jesus has for us. When Jesus, not because of feeling, but because of something so much more deep and profound, experiences suffering and death on the cross for us. When on Good Friday we venerate the cross, we pay homage to this most divine form of love, agape. And it is not only the self-transcending and self-sacrificing love of Jesus, it is the love that you and I feel in our own lives. When we move beyond feeling to choice and commitment, to love even when it's hard, to love as a form of service to one another, to love even when it involves heavy cost. At the Last Supper, when Jesus is giving his most profound and full teaching to his disciples, he knows that words are not enough. And so he unwraps his cloak, he kneels before them with a towel and a bowl, and he washes their feet and says, "This is love. To be humbly of service to our brothers and sisters, not only when it feels right or good, but because it's our true nature. It is our divine and spiritual nature to do so." We might think, for instance, of those teachers at Sandy Hook who threw themselves before bullets to protect children. We think of soldiers we know of who have thrown themselves on grenades to save their units. We think of people who are moved by generosity to be of service to strangers. Over the last week, tens of millions of dollars have been collected for the victims of the Boston bombings, for strangers. We think of the choices we make on beautiful Sunday afternoons. Instead of going to play golf, instead to go and visit our homebound, our elderly parents or grandparents. We think of the commitment at times to love our children even when they go a little wild and rebel. And we hold steady in that love because that is our true nature. Anytime we step out of our own way and allow our kind of ego self to subside, we allow God to use us as instruments for a higher purpose. And I'm not saying that is easy. On a daily basis, I catch myself living from that egoic small self that can be petty and compare and say, look at what that other person has, right? That small self that is more about my own agenda than living for a higher purpose or goal. And yet, when I do get out of my own way and I allow God to work through me, I feel my heart opened up with compassion and sensitivity to others. I feel a concern for those who are different from me and on the other side of the world, in Syria or in Sudan or places I've never been where there is pain and suffering. And I know you do too. This, my friends, is God loving through us. The bombing in Boston last week is a reminder that our society, our human race, has a long way to go before it achieves what we think of as the kingdom, the society of compassion and love. But the energy and the inspiration to move in that direction, it lives within us. This is what the resurrection points to. Our true nature is spirit. Another quote from Teilhard de Chardin. He said once that when we have, as a human race, mastered the winds and the waves, the tides and gravity, we shall again harness the energies of love for God. And at this moment, we will have discovered for the second time in history, fire. We don't want to wait until we've mastered the elements or until the moment is perfect. It is now for us to reveal our true nature, that of our soul self, and to love now.